Hello, everybody. This is Rachel, and I'm very excited for this special podcast.
And this is Shirley, and I'm sick.
Shirley almost died.
But I'm here anyway. I'm here anyway for you guys.
But yes, this is not our usual Podcasa Bonita episode. This is our special Christmas countdown that we're doing just for you, and because we're in the Christmas spirit.
Of course. We're filled with Christmas spirit. So basically our special Christmas countdown, about a month ago, maybe a little bit over a month ago, on my Tumblr, I created a poll and asked you guys, viewers, my followers, what your favorite top three Christmas episodes of South Park were. We had a list of every single South Park Christmas special that we could think of, and we had you guys vote. And now we're here, and we're going to tell you guys the results. It's our Christmas countdown.
Yeah, that's right. Alright, so do you want to just get started?
Let's get started. And at number 8, with 7% of the votes,
is Happy Holograms.
From season 18. Now, some people might not think this is a Christmas episode, but I added it because it's one of the season finales. It is a season finale, and it's got a Christmas theme. So, and I just wanted more episodes to talk about.
Yeah, at first I forgot this one was a Christmas episode. But, little fun fact, this episode, along with number 7 and 8 on the list, or number 7 and 6 on the list, were in a 3-way tie for last, but then Shirley and I broke the tie with our own votes, because it's our podcast and we can do what we want.
Exactly.
So it's a little bit biased.
It's a little bit biased because, we're biased people.
But yeah, like I said, I've totally forgot this episode was a Christmas one. But then I kind of went back and rewatched it recently, and it really grew on me, and I'm kind of sad it was in the last place, because I kind of like this episode.
Well, it's really funny. For the longest time, this episode was in dead last. Like, absolutely, it had, one vote for a month, and then just, 2 days ago, it got, 3 more votes. So, it's gaining popularity, I guess. I think, this episode for me personally would still be on the bottom because I think pretty much every single South Park Christmas special is really good. Even this one, I'm not a huge fan of season 18, but this one was okay. This was an okay episode.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like most of the time the South Park holiday specials, especially the Christmas ones, are so good and so iconic, and this one just doesn't live up to it to the other ones. Although I guess the reason that I really like it is because it's a really good Kyle episode, and I'm such a sucker for Kyle.
I love Kyle's little rhyming scheme and everything.
Yes.
And I do have to be kind of lenient with this episode because it's not necessarily set out to be a Christmas special or anything like the others.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in here by default by just kind of having a kind of Christmassy title.
Yeah, it snuck in here.
It snuck in here, but that's what you guys voted for, along with 2 others, so I think maybe...
Yeah, let's sneak on to the next one.
Let's sneak on to the next one. At number 7, with, again, 7% of the votes, we have...
Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson.
From season 2. This is actually one of my favorite. It's not in my top 3. I think it really isn't, but I like all of the episodes, but I really like this one, because season 2 was kind of really different from the rest of all of South Park. Early South Park was really weird, but this episode kind of stands out to me.
Yeah.
From those early seasons.
This is a good episode, but the reason I only think that is because of the Cartman family, who are so fucking funny, and I think that they're really the only part of this episode that saved it from being just okay to me.
Exactly. So I really can kind of see why it isn't higher up. It's really not as memorable as the others, and I think that's one of the main themes in these Christmas episodes is that the ones that are the most memorable are obviously the top ones.
Exactly.
So, and it's hard to forget a South Park Christmas episode, so if you're not very memorable, you're probably not going to be high on the list.
Exactly. Although this is a pretty good episode. I mean, the Cartman family did kind of save the whole thing, but I always have a good time watching it. I never dread watching this one, and I don't know, it's all around a good episode.
It is, but I've also kind of noticed this one doesn't really. It has Christmas in it, but it doesn't. Christmas wasn't its main focus, unlike the others.
Yeah.
On this list, like these two, Happy Holograms and Merry Christmas, Charlie Manson. Like they have holiday themes, but they're not really focused on the holiday. So
yeah, they're not.
I think that kind of sets it apart too.
Yeah, they're not as committed to the holiday thing as they are sometimes in later seasons. So you can see that Mantra have kind of perfected the holiday episode a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And even this isn't even a bad episode.
Yeah.
I would never consider any of these bad episodes,
I agree.
But with that, we're going to head on to number 6 with, again, for the third time, 7% of the votes.
And it is Red Sleigh Down.
From season 6.
Yeah.
This is actually my sister's favorite Christmas episode, and it's funny. I was asking her why, and she just looks at me and says, "'Cause Kenny comes back at the end." Like, there's no other reason why she likes this episode. It's just because Kenny comes back.
I'm sort of with your sister on this one, although I do have more reasons than that. I'm really disappointed that this one was tied for last, because I really, really like this one. It's one of my favorite Christmas episodes. And I'm just really bummed. I wish it was higher.
See, what I like about it and what I don't like about it, it's kind of balanced, because to me this isn't an episode and I'm like, oh yeah, I really love it, but it's at the same time it's not like a meh episode. It's I enjoy watching it, but it's not one that I'm like, oh, we have to watch it, it's my favorite.
I just think it has so many funny elements that are really working towards it. Like Santa and Jesus teaming up together and killing people with their shotguns and shit, and then Cartman trying to kiss up to Santa because he's afraid he's gonna be in the naughty list, and then like your sister said, Kenny's awesome reintroduction at the end. There's some of those things aren't necessarily Christmas focused, but they work really well and they're really funny, and I all around love this episode.
Funny. And you know what? This episode kind of it was probably more of a riskier episode than I think any of the other, titles on this list. It's a little more political, not super heavily political, but it is probably the most political out of all of the episodes that we have here. Mostly just because of the Iraq theme and everything. That, especially when this aired, that was kind of a big deal. So, but I do love Kyle too coming back.
Yes,
Kyle's cousin Kyle. I think that's so funny how I love how they treat being naughty and nice like taxes and everything. That's such a clever thing to do.
Right. And my favorite line of that whole episode is the beginning part when Kyle too is calculating Cartman's naughty and nice list or whatever, and Cartman goes what about the time I brushed my teeth? And Kyle too goes, that doesn't really count as naughty or nice, it's just under the category of brushing your teeth. That kills me.
What's great is none of these episodes are bad. We love all of them, and it's kind of cool seeing, because the statistics of this changed dramatically in the last 2 days that we've had the poll open. They kind of stayed the same, and then all of a sudden things changed, and I did not expect some of the episodes to be where they were. But
yeah, and I'm kind of especially bitter about this one being so low, because I think there are a few other Christmas episodes that are higher that I don't think should be that high. I think this episode is better than some of the ones that are ranked higher.
I think this episode is better than the one that we're going to review next.
Alright. Number 5.
Number 5, which is
Mr. Hankey the Christmas Pooh.
With 9% of the vote, sorry.
And this was in season 1, right?
Season 1. This is the one that started it all, so we gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, Mr. Hankey's introduction.
And this one probably is the most iconic Christmas episode to a casual viewer. I really feel because, South Park has been running so long that this Mr. Hankey name has had more time to expand. People kind of relatively know that. So I feel, even though it's not the top rated and it's not the fan favorite, I feel like this one is more casually the iconic episode.
Yeah.
But it isn't even where near probably my favorite. This would be lower on the list for me.
Yeah, same. Like, I'm not a huge fan of this episode at all. Like, I like it, but in comparison to all the others, I'm like, not, like, I'm so surprised it was ranked so highly.
Well, one thing that this episode is perfect with is I'm a Jew, a lonely Jew on
Yes, I love Kyle's song in this one.
And it's great because this is one of like the first real musical episodes. It had Kyle's mom's a bitch and everything.
Yeah.
Like it's an episode of firsts. It's first Christmas episode, first kind of really heavily musical episode. We owe a lot to this episode.
Yeah. And it's the first time that Cartman rips on Kyle for being a Jew at Christmas. That happens a lot later.
The first of many.
Yeah.
The first of many. But, it's not that like I said, we don't dislike any of these episodes. I think the only reason why it probably isn't my top favorite is just because I'm comparing it to so many other great episodes. Like, this is a good episode, but some of the other ones on this list that are higher up are great episodes.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's all we had to say about that one. You ready to move on to number 4?
Yes, I am, and that is A Very Crappy Christmas.
With 10% of the votes, and this is from season 4. This is in my top 3.
Yeah, I like this one.
I'd probably rate this one number 3 in my opinion. I'd have this one as top 3, but I love it because it ties in with the original short, The Spirit of Christmas, which I think was super clever, and it took them a long time to do that.
Yeah.
It's weird that it took them that long to reference themselves, but
yeah, I like this episode because I love it when Matt and Trey make fun of themselves. So it was really funny. And I think this one actually deserves its spot. I wouldn't rate it higher or lower. I think it's pretty decently placed.
Yeah. I'm actually really surprised that it got rated as high as it did because I thought I was kind of like a lone shark with with really liking this episode, but it really surprised me that as many people voted for this episode, because not a lot of people talk about it. Well, I feel like a lot of people talk about Mr. Hankey's wife.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. Mr. Hankey's crazy family got introduced in this episode, and I think they're really funny.
I think they are so funny, and they're still referenced every once. They were referenced in the game and everything, and but I think I really like this episode. I can't really place why I really like it so much. I think it has to do with one, it's really funny. Every scene is super funny. It kind of makes fun of themselves. It references Spirit of Christmas, and it also makes fun of Christmas culture and everything, where they're it emphasizes no, it's not about loving each other, it's about presents.
Yeah. And that's such a funny message to me because I remember being a kid and I would watch all these movies about Christmas is about love and being with your family, and I'm yeah, that's true, but deep down inside I knew that I was a selfish little brat and I wanted gifts.
I'm still a selfish little brat and I want gifts.
I knew. I know that what they're trying to say, but deep down I knew that I would be pissed if I didn't get any gifts on Christmas.
Oh yeah, we all kind of would. It's so funny because we're recording this right after I just saw a Christmas concert talking about how Jesus is the best gift of all, and I'm yeah, but I also kind of want a makeup palette,
right.
So
Can Jesus do my makeup every day? No.
For real, but it's just a very funny episode. I'm happy that it's at the spot that it is on this list, but I'm also surprised that it's there.
Yeah, a good surprise though.
Wow, we're already down to number 3.
I know, we're
number
going quick.
3 with 14% of the votes
is It's Christmas in Canada
from season 7.
This is a good episode.
I can definitely see. I totally thought this would either be number 2 or number 3.
Yeah, this one definitely deserves its spot, I think.
I feel like people really... I think I've said on the contrary before, but a lot of people like the Canadians.
Yeah.
They may not like Terrence and Phillip, but they like the Canadians.
I agree. I think that the Canadians in general are kind of popular because they're kind of an iconic South Park thing, like Canadians having floppy heads and blah blah. And I don't know. I do think they're super funny and they're used really well, especially in this episode.
And I really feel like I'm not alone when I say that I love a good episode involving Ike. Like, everybody loves Ike. I don't know a single person who thinks Ike is annoying or overused. Like, he's perfect. So I think people like the kind of emotional ties with this episode because, you know, it is about Kyle wanting his brother back, you know? It's got a little bit more of an emotional, but like a serious emotional sort of tie to it. So I think that's probably why it resonates with people so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. This episode really has a good balance of storylines because it has Kyle wanting to rescue his brother, but then they have to deal with all the ridiculousness of Canada, and then Cartman is tagging along because he doesn't want Christmas to be ruined, and then he tries to beat up Kyle, and it's such a good mix of like funny and serious, and it works really well.
And perfect mix of parody too. With Wizard of Oz.
Yes.
So I think the Follow the Only Road song and the French Canadian song is like really funny.
Yeah.
So, I think this is like a really well balanced episode, and you know it's not super heavy on Christmas either. It really isn't like a super heavy, because even if it didn't have Christmas, this episode could stand on its own.
Yeah.
It would just not be at Christmas time. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's why it's so good that you don't even notice that it could kind of stand on its own without the Christmas message.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, and gosh, wow, we're heading to number 2, guys. We're so close. Number 2 with 17% of the votes
is Mr. Hankey's Christmas Classics.
From season 3. This one, this is also in my top 3. Like, this is number 2 in my own personal list. Like, I love this episode because it was kind of my first experience with South Park. You know, I was a kid in middle school, like listening to the Christmas classics and everything, thinking, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm such a badass. They say the F word in this. And, you know, but I go back and I still love this. I think I'm surprised people voted for this episode so much, but after thinking about it and looking at the results, maybe the reason why is, you know, it has a bunch of songs that a lot of people know, and people really like the musical sort of episodes, but it also is an episode unlike any other South Park episode. You know, it doesn't have a story, it's just a series of songs, and the funny thing is, this episode was only made just to promote their actual Christmas album. Like, they didn't have an idea, but it kind of also has the thing with, it was it was a tribute to Mary Kay Bergman, who had committed suicide shortly before this, so it was a tribute to her, which is really sweet. You know, it's bittersweet.
Yeah, I mean, this episode has good songs, and it's a good parody of like Christmas specials, but Shirley, don't kill me, I don't like this episode a lot, and I would have ranked it a lot lower on the list.
And that's why I'm the favorite co-host, so, because you're wrong about everything.
Oh, really? Okay.
But, yeah, I can see that. Like, that's why it surprised me.
Yeah.
I totally thought nobody would vote for this.
Because for me, like,
would just be...
I don't know, like, I like the musical episodes, I love songs and stuff, but I also like there to be a story that goes along with the songs. It has to have both, and this one just has music, and I'm kind of like, Like, if it was just an album, I would get into it more, but just watching this episode, I get kind of bored, and I'm like, I want to watch South Park, not whatever this is.
See, I love this one for that kind of reason, because it is so different, and it's just, like, little shorts that are really funny, and I think every single clip is so funny. There isn't one that, you know, stands out more than the rest. I see them all equally really entertaining, you know, really entertaining and funny, and not just entertaining because it's funny, it's like a bunch of catchy songs, you know?
Yep.
But I totally see your point, because this really surprised me with how high it is on the list. But I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
You probably aren't, but I'm super pleasantly surprised.
Alright, do you want to go on?
Yes, and we're ready to move on. This is going to be a real fucking shocker. Yeah, real fucking shocker. Number 1 with 29% of the votes is
the episode that we don't even need to name, but we're gonna anyway. Woodland Critter Christmas was number 1.
Woodland Critter Christmas. Well, this is from season 8, and honestly, you don't even have to. This isn't even the top Christmas episode. It's one of the best episodes ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is so good. We were not surprised at all with this being number 1. It stayed number 1. Nothing. It has so many other votes than the others. I feel like everybody who voted in the poll voted for this this episode, because it's so good. I don't have a lot of criticisms about it.
Yeah. Like, I don't think there's never even a chance of this one not being number 1.
Yep, and the thing is, it's unlike some of the other ones, like Christmas in Canada, this one does rely a lot on the Christmas theme.
Yeah.
It relies a lot on the Christmas theme. Like, you kind of could have the Woodland Critter Christmas by itself, but it wouldn't be as, iconic and as amazing.
Yeah, because the really
Christmas staple.
Because the whole theme of it is part of it is that Stan wants to go home and have a good Christmas, but these creatures are still bothering him. And then the narrator who keeps rhyming, and then it turns out to be Cartman at the end. Like, it's all so funny and it works together, especially with the Christmas theme too.
See, and it's so funny. When I was first getting into South Park and everything, I was looking at everybody's top favorite episodes and everything, and I hadn't seen this episode. I'm like, gosh, this looks so boring. This episode looks so boring. Why would anybody ever want to watch it? But I finally, it kept showing up in everybody's favorite lists. So I'm like, well, you know what? I'll go ahead and watch it. And we're not a spoiler-free podcast, but every single twist and turn is so outrageous and so well written, especially because this episode was one where all the writers had nothing. It was right after Team America. It was the last episode of the season, and they pretty much did it in 3 or 4 days. Instead of their normal 6 days. They were rushed, and it's one of the best episodes, not even just Christmas episodes, of all time.
Yes, it's one of the best episodes, and the absolute best Christmas episode. Because, this episode is so fucked up, but, in every perfect way, and it's so good. I can't get over it.
It's fucked up in a way that's just so entertaining, because you do not, the first time you watch it, you don't expect it. Unless you've had it spoiled for you. If you go in with this episode like I did, with a clean slate, not expecting everything, you're just like, holy crap, that was actually really smart. It's fucked up, but it's smart.
Yeah.
It's so well written, and it's perfect example of their time crunch, treasures. Some of the best episodes that everybody loves just kind of happen from a time crunch with the writers.
Yeah.
So the key to success is suffering.
Right, we don't get really good South Park unless Matt and Trey are really killing themselves.
For real. But honestly, this episode was not a surprise to anyone who is a South Park fan. Anybody, you could click on this episode and already know what number 1 is, and we already knew too, but it's still fun to see where the other ones place, and to give this one the highest praise.
Yep.
But yeah, that's probably the shortest podcast we've ever had.
Yeah. Usually by this time we only talked about 5 or 6 episodes, and we're like, ah, shit, we gotta hurry up.
Probably 1 episode, really. We just talk so much, but we pretty much already reviewed most of these episodes. So if you want, go ahead and check out
our previous podcast.
Yeah, check out our previous podcast. We'll have season 8 right after this, so it's fitting that Woodland Critter Christmas is number 1, because we haven't technically reviewed it yet.
Yeah, we will in our next one, though.
Yep, in our next one. And so I want to thank you guys for voting, those of you who did, those of you who are watching and encouraged us doing this. We'd love to do more kind of episodes that aren't just by series. We'd love to do some top episodes your favorites or your least favorites in the whole season. You know, give us some ideas.
Yeah.
We need you guys to be creative.
Or even like favorite Kenny episodes, favorite Stan episodes, stuff like that. Just tell us what you want or which of these ideas you like. We'd love to hear from you.
For real, we need ideas. We're not good at being creative on our own. we have to steal from other people.
Right.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening.
Yes, thank you.
To those voted. We were so excited about recording this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had it planned like 2 months in advance and everything.
Yes.
We've been planning on it. So hopefully we didn't disappoint.
Yeah, I hope you had a good time listening, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, you turds.